Item. SCP-425. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-425 is to be kept in a standard containment area lined with a Faraday cage. Most staff with a security rating above Level 2 are permitted to access SCP-425. The exception to this being staff who were born on days of the month that are multiples of 8. For example 8, 16, and 24. Staff who were born on these days have proven to be susceptible to the negative effects of SCP-425. Description: SCP-425 appears to be a 1958 Philco Tandem Predictor television set. It was first reported in 1963 by the owner of the unit. Mrs. originally contacted the FBI regarding the SCP, stating that it had begun to behave erratically at certain times. She reported to the FBI that her son had begun having terrible nightmares and had scratched =8 on the left side panel of the television set. Mrs. further reported that although she had unplugged the set, it continued to broadcast without power at certain times during the day. Embedded Agent became aware of the situation and brought SCP-425 to the Foundation. SCP-425 was brought in and studied for 6 weeks by SCP staff with no conclusive findings. It was initially classed as safe until the 24th of March 1963, when it turned on by itself and began broadcasting. Of the 5 staff that were in the room at the time, 4 experienced a shared vision of what they described as infinity. They also reported hearing an atonal sound that seemed to come from the walls. These 4 staff members, while somewhat alarmed by the experience, felt a general sense of well-being. They described the feeling as knowing that there was something else out there beyond us. This description was repeated verbatim by these 4 staff members, who were separated and interviewed immediately after the event. They were given no time to speak to each other prior to the interview. The 5th staff member, Subject 0, provided a differing account of the experience. Subject 0 described a vision of moving extremely quickly through space to the event horizon of a black hole. The vision then took Subject 0 into and through the black hole, at which time he experienced a crushing sense of oblivion. Subject 0 also described an atonal noise, but reported hearing whispering beyond the noise. Subject 0 was not able to interpret the whispering, but was sure that it was not English nor any other human language. Subject 0 was extremely shaken by this vision and the whispering and reported recurring nightmares for weeks following the event. Extensive psychotherapy assisted Subject 0 to some degree, but he would report having nightmares at least once a month. He also reported that he no longer took comfort in the company of others and felt lonely even with groups of friends. SCP-425 was classed as Euclid at this juncture. Further study revealed that on the 8th, 16th, and 24th day of each month, SCP-425 broadcasts for a period of 8 minutes at some time in the evening, generally between 2000 and 2324. It will broadcast only once during this time. Early study by volunteer staff members resulted in mixed experience. 5 staff were placed in the room containing SCP-425 and were asked to watch to see the results. It took fully 6 months of testing to determine that subjects who were born on the specified dates were susceptible to the negative experience stemming from SCP-425. Of the 23 Subjects who experienced the oblivion vision, 17, had results mirroring those of subject 0, 4, requested reclassification and amnesia treatment. 1, left the site containing SCP-425 and was never seen again, and 1, reported no ill effects. See addendum. At this point SCP-425 was placed in a Faraday cage and no staff member born on one of the above noted days has been permitted to access it. While in its enclosure, SCP-425 will turn itself on but will not broadcast. It is assumed that the broadcasts are non-terrestrial in origin, but efforts to pinpoint the source of the transmission have proven fruitless.